demonstration of Power Query's amazing power. So that's so much of power in one sentence, but I hope that by the time you see what we are doing, you will agree with me that Power Query is an awesome tool. So there's a lot we will do, so I won't talk too much. And so that takes me now to this. So this is where I need us all to please share your currently level of Power Query. So how well do you already use Power Query? So the more we write, the better for all of us, right? I think 3 people have said, so maybe we'll just go ahead with what everybody has said. So there's someone who has not used it before. There's someone who uses it occasionally, someone who uses it frequently. Okay, so, well, what I'm going to do is something that it might be a bit fast for those of you who have not used it before. But just remember that we are recording it. So that way you can be able to do it slowly afterwards, watch it slowly. For those of you who use it frequently, I'm betting that you will find what we are going to do a lot interesting. So, I mean, like, you'll be like, wow, well, I hope you'll be like, wow, anyway, that's what I'm hoping anyway. So, I'm going to go ahead with the demonstration itself. So I'm going to exit the slide and I'm going to come out of the slide. Please, it's not going to be a presentation that you can be able to be doing as I'm doing, because what I want to do right now is better you give it attention and watch and try and pick all the different things I'm exposing to us than trying to think maybe you can memorize and remember it. No, you can't remember everything at once. So you will have the recording. So please don't try to be like, oh, Michael, I want to do it alongside you. Can you wait for me? Wait for me. No, I cannot wait because this thing we want to do is something that in 1 hour, the whole hour will be gone by the time we are done. So I have some data on, by the way, I have 2 screens. So that's why you will notice that sometimes to be like my side that you see, some other time you see my face, just because I need to have 2 screens, so that way I can be interacting with everybody and able to answer questions when questions come up. So I have this data on Google Sheets. How many of you already use Google Sheets to collate data? So this is something you will find interesting. I already have this on Google Sheets, but you know what? These that I have on Google Sheets, I have for different companies. So these are like stock analysis information. So these are, things we are tracking for different companies, and these companies are really a lot. I think they're about 101 companies. So I have someone in my team who helped with this. His name is already showing where is Daniel Codes. He did an amazing work on this. So now, you see this that I have, I need to use it in a report. I need all of this to come together in a report. So you will notice what I put in the slide. That I said, you see all these things that I have here, I just have it in Google Sheets so that it's easy for the person filling it to fill in information inside. What I really need it for is to take it back into Excel and then combine everything into this kind of a structure where I can see all the companies in one column, right? So if you see my screen, all the companies in one column, whatsoever other information like the revenue, gross profit, all this information we are tracking to in another column, the years and the value. And guess what? This is coming from, see, can you see how this looks like? The company names, this is where the company names are coming from. The company names are not on they are coming from the name of the sheet. And then also here, this is where you get the company names, right? It is not like it's not a column on its own, right? Then you see the metrics. These are the metrics. These are the metrics. Okay. So this one already comes in a way that you will find really useful. So those are the metrics. Then what about the year? So that's another pain point. The year, they are arranged as a column. They are arranged as a column. Okay. So how do I go from this? How do I go from this into this? Into this that you're looking at. That's what we want to do. How do I go from that into this that collected all of the data and everything is now here together. All the companies, all the metrics, all the years and the values for all those years. So I am going to start first of all with how do I go from taking data that is in Google Sheets to Excel. So I go to Excel. So I open a blank Excel. Let me see if I can increase my computer zoom so that we can see my screen. I need to go to poster. I'm going to go there manually. I'm going to try and go there manually. Windows D. Display. I want to increase my computer screen size. Unfortunately, my keyboard shortcut is gone on. It has decided to go on the resolution. Yes, so I want to change the resolution, or should I change the zoom size so that way it will be a bit bigger. You will see everything bigger. So I think this should be bigger than before now. Yeah, this should be bigger. Right. I only use this for presentation. I don't like my screen this big, but it will be better for you when it's big instead of me trying to force you to see something tiny. Okay, so now my Excel is, you can see my Excel is looking bigger now. All right, so how do I go from the Google Sheets to Excel, right? So this is it. I am going to take the Google Sheets share link. So I go to share, I grab the link. And I already have a video on this in case you want to know how to go from how to share Google Sheets, how to take from Google Sheets into Excel. So let me just give you the link if you're interested in that, because I don't want to redo that one today. I would rather go straight to the thing. So please, if you go around here, Google Sheets, I've seen it. So this one. So if I copy the link and I give it to you, you can watch afterwards in case you don't know the process and you want to see the entire process. So take how to connect. So with that one done now, I can go straight to the main thing I want to do. So I'm going to go to data in Excel. Then I'm going to say that the data I want to grab, I want to get it from web. So you'll be like, why am I saying I want to get it from web? Because when you are connecting Google Sheets to Excel, it's a link. That share link that Google Sheet gives you, that's the link that you're going to drop in here and say Excel should go use it. So for me, I've already extracted the link here. So I'm just going to grab that link. Grab link. Why is the link taking time to grab? Oh, okay. I need to close this. So I grab the link. This is the steps anyway. But like I said, if you watch the video, you will get it. I use 10 minutes to explain it, but I don't have 10 minutes to explain it now. You go to your Google Sheet, you click on share. So when you click on share, the link that comes out, you copy the link, and then you do some small changes to it, and then you take the final link like this, like I've done now, and then that final link is what we choose. So when I go to from web, I paste that link in here. Are you following? And then I click on OK. So let me just. So I click on OK, and it will do its bit. So you see it's trying to connect to the Google Sheet and pull all the information from the Google Sheet, right? So I'm waiting for it to be done. So so it's gonna take a while. Let me. So you see, it's doing its work. It's taking a while. And any moment from now, I should see a navigator screen. I think we might need to mute ourselves to so the background noise will reduce. It's a giant sheet, like I told you. It's a giant file that has like 101 sheets. So maybe what I'll do is when I'm doing the demonstration, I will not take all the 100. I'll take maybe like 10, so that we will not keep waiting. Because the more the number of data, the more the time it takes for the transformation we want to do. Okay, so I think we are making progress. Now this one is taking a bit of a time. But this is Excel. I hope you know this is Excel. So this is what is called PowerQuery. Well, I'll show you the PowerQuery from the. Let's look at ourselves. So from this segment of your Excel, if you are using my version, if you're using the newer version, you see this aspect of your Excel, this get and transform, actually takes you to Power Query. Okay, so for some older versions, you will have to enable Power Query yourself. But from 2016, upwards, 2016, 2019, and then if you're using the subscription version, you will always have Power Query embedded. So great. Now I have all these companies, which if I pick one of them, Zenith, you will see that what I'm having here is exactly the same as what I have here. Are you following? So you see that what I have here, let's look for Zenith. I think Zenith will be at the end, extreme end. So you see there's a lot of something I have. And Zenith, okay, this thing arranges alphabetical order in the other side. You will see if I can pull out this. But anyway, the pattern is similar. You will notice that this is it, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick, because of speed, let me pick, say, about, I pick from a do a mixture of this week. I'll pick about 10 companies. Maybe I pick these 10 companies here. Going to turn on multi-selector, pick 1, 2, like this, let's see. maybe up to here. All right. So I pick about 10 or I don't know, whatever number of companies this represent. So because I need to transform, I'm not going to do load, right? I'm going to click on transform data. So I'm going to click on transform data. So this will now take me straight to Power Query. So you see that it's already working on the ground. Let me minimize this so you see. Okay. So it's doing some work. I hope I've not picked too many. If I pick too many, I'll just again reduce the number. Okay, if you have any questions, you can also type in the chat box. Okay, so any question you can type in the chat box. Okay, I think some questions are popping up. Okay, no questions. I'll be monitoring the chat box anyway. So it's going to bring in all of the, it's almost done. I can see it, yes. So it's bringing in all these different sheets. You know, this one and this one and this one from Google Sheets, right? So it's bringing them in. And this is the Power Query. So this is Power Query in itself. You will see it's like a separate window from the Excel, right? So that's Power Query, right? It's a separate window from the Excel. I need to be visible again. Wait. Let me see. I can zoom it so you can be able to see clearly. So just to work, I think on this I hold the control and I roll my scroll button up, it goes up, but for some reasons, because of my language settings and something I can't really clean, stopped working recently. So let me see what I can do to make it a bit easier for you to see my screen. Let's see. Okay, I will use the native zoom of my computer. I mean, I have a tool that zooms. So this is it, right? I have all these components, but this is the way the information are showing. And this is not what I want, right? So I need to do some transformation. Transformation number one is that I need a company name. This company name that is in here, I need it to be as a separate column. So I want the company name to be as a separate column. Are we following? Oh, someone is asking that you're expecting it to authenticate at some point. You will have to watch that video. Please watch the video of how to connect Google Sheets to Excel. Because if I try to do that here, it will take more time. So, all right, so I've answered that question. And now, are you following? I need us to grab Wema Bank, the name, and put as a new column. So what do? I am going to click on this. Are you seeing what I'm doing? I right click on it. Please let's mute ourselves so that people who are going to watch the recording, they will not suffer because all this noise coming will make them suffer. So I right click on what I want to extract, which is the company name. I say add as new query. I click on add as new query. And you see what it has done. It has brought out a new query, which if you look at my screen, you will see that I have column B, I have something like this pop up, and I see the Weber Bank. So what I need is just to grab this. This is all I need. So I'm going to keep it in memory, and keeping in memory means I copy it. So I copy. Then meet everybody without to omit yourself. Let's see. Get that. That will be under participant, I guess. So mute all. Done that. I hope. Not working. All right, but I hope you all hear me. I think I just have to continue that way. So I grab this, right? Then I go back to this place, right? And then I do not need these 1, 2, 3, 4. You see, I don't need all these 3 columns, right? It's actually 3. What do? I go to remove rows, and I say remove rows. So remove the top 3 rows. It's going to come up. Remove top 3 rows. I say okay. Please, if this is too fast, you might need to watch the recording. But I'm trying to go slowly. I'm also looking at the time. So I have removed those 3 rows. Now, one other thing I need to do is, you will see that the headers are actually on this row 1. So I need to promote this row 1. So what do? I say use first row as header. Once I do that, now row 1 becomes header. Okay, so we are making some progress, right? This is beginning to look a bit cleaner, neater. Now, the problem is if I merge this together with all the other companies, you will not know which one is Wema Bank, which one is Vitafoam Limited, because the company names are not showing here. So what do? I've already grabbed the company name here, right? So I need to bring it back here, right? So what do? I do add column. So I come in here, I say add column. Now this add column, I do add custom column. Then it's going to come up anyway. So I'm going to call this custom column, I'm going to say company, right? And then I'm going to paste that one that I copied before, right? So this grabbing for me, the company name already. Then I say okay, and guess what will happen? You're going to see pop out. Now I have the company. So now this company that I have, I want it to show at the beginning of my table, right? So I right click and I say it should move to the beginning. So move to the beginning, okay? So now that I've moved it to the beginning, I am going to now on Zoom so you see my screen. What other things do I need? If you notice that it came with a lot more baggage. It came with all this column 11, column 12, things that have nothing in them, right? So what do? I know that the last data that I need is in 2019. So I'm going to select column 11, scroll to the right. This is Excel in case you are doubting, you are wondering what is this? This is Excel, it's in your Excel. So I'm going to hold on the shift key and pick this, right? And I'm going to right click somewhere here. And then I'm going to say I want to remove columns. So you can see the options that come up here, right? I am picking the option that says remove columns. I do not need those columns. Okay. So now that I've done this, I think that I am happy with what I am seeing. Okay. So what I want to do now is I have 2 choices. Is either I do all the transformation on this and then append everybody, which means append everybody means consolidate for all the companies. Or I do some transformation that must be done before I can consolidate. And then I decide to now do a final transformation on the consolidated one. So this is what anyone you do will work. But let me say I do all the transformation here, first of all. So let's say I do all the transformation here. All the transformation here means that, again, I look at what needs to be fixed. So if you look at my table, right, that I have situations where I'm having any which are like not available, like those things do not they do not exist for a bank. Okay, so I need to tell Excel that whenever there is this not available, it should put 0 there. So we're going to have to do that. Okay, but I don't want to do it one by one. So you can see there are many years here. So I'm going to do it maybe towards the end. So another issue you will notice is I have no. So this thing has sucked in more cells than what I actually needed, right? So I'm going to tell you that, in fact, maybe before adding the companies, right? So we can work backwards. I will say before adding the companies, you should remove the null values. So I can work backwards. See what I mean by work backwards. I can step backwards and say, you know what, before I reordered the columns, before I even had the company, add this custom column. So, I can go back. I can say this was the step where I added the columns, the companies, this one. So you see, this was that step where I added the company. I can go one step before that and say, I want to insert a step there that I should have done that I forgot. So I go here and I say, I want to remove all the null values. So anywhere that we do not have a metric, which is null, right? So I come in here and I click there and I say remove the empty, or you cannot check the null, which they do the same thing anyway. So let's say I say remove empty. It's going to notify me that do I want to insert this step in between some other steps. I say yes, I need that step there. I should have done it. I forgot, right? So now that I remembered, I want to do it at the same spot I should have done it. So doing that, you will notice that that has worked, right? And then you also notice that every other of my steps after that is respecting that, like it's building on top of that my new addition, right? So that's another thing about Power Query that you will find really useful. Okay, so then let's talk about the other issues that we want to fix. So the other issue that we want to fix is that if I want to do analysis and I want to do plot on a chart the years and then the values by those years, I won't be able to do them with the way these years are arranged. Okay, so I will need to collapse all the years into one field and have the values in front of them. So what do? I pick all the years, pick all of the years. I hold Shift key and pick the last one too, and then I go to transform, and then I say I want to unpivot columns. If you have used Python, it's the one they call melt, PD, pandas, data series, something melt. I was really happy when I came across it in Python. I'm like, wow, so this thing has always been in every data analytics tool. But for us in Excel, it's called on pivot columns. So when I click on this on pivot columns, you see what happens is that it collapses all those years, collapse them into one column, and then it puts the values in front of them. So instead of the value for 2012 being under 2012, so if I step backwards, instead of this, right, 2012 having the values beneath it. Now what I have is all the years here, and then the values in front of them. So now that I've done this, you see, it's a lot of work I've done for one company. Then I have 100 other companies. Am I going to keep repeating the same thing? What do you think? Am I going to have to keep repeating the same stuff? No. I am going to reuse my steps. So this is what I mean by I'm going to reuse my steps. Please mute ourselves so that we can all enjoy this together. So instead of me coming to Vitafoam, the next company, and I start doing all these other new steps, keep row and all those steps that I did. You see, these have just 1, 2, 3, 4. But then the one that I have completed, right? You will notice it has after that 1, 2, 3, 4. It has like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I've added like 8 more steps. Okay. So what do? I'm going to tell Excel that no. I'm going to copy. So I go to Home and I go to Advanced Editor. So once I go to Advanced Editor, right, I'm going to see all the codes that equal the step that I've created. So if you remember, all these steps are the ones that I created myself. So I can just say, you know what, copy all these steps, even to the last one that was created before I started adding my own. So I copy them all, right? So I close this, I remove the zoom so that we are able to see my screen. And then I come here to the ones that need those same kind of transformation. But now, instead of me doing manually all those steps again, I go to Advanced Editor. I'm on the second company. I go to Advanced Editor and it comes up. And what do? I just replace all of this with this. Pasting those steps that I copied from the other place, right? And I'm going to click on done. So I'm going to click on, you see the magic that is going to happen. I click on done and just wait for it. Voila. You see all those things that took me maybe 10 minutes, right? It has done them like on this. So it's like you're copying your steps. This is something that people really wish they are able to do in native Excel environment. So I'm going to quickly do that for every other one. So Advanced Editor, I select these and paste and click on done. I do likewise here, select, I paste with the Advanced Editor, paste, go here, Advanced Editor. So this is why I said I didn't want to pick too many companies. Fortunately, you still have to do this, but it's still faster than me trying to repeat the steps for everyone. Okay. Um, so I'm halfway through the companies. Paste, done, cancel, done, paste, done, advanced editor, paste. If we have enough time, once I'm done with the demo, if there's any aspect you want me to do slowly again, just notes and then I will do them. But I would rather make sure I have completed the demonstration before I start, focusing on just one aspect, so that way, when people are watching the recording, they can they don't get to miss the main thing, and I'm just dancing around one step in the whole 50-step process. So we are almost done anyway. I think just 3 more companies to do this for. Then I'm going to consolidate the entire. So select these. Even for this last company, let me zoom my screen so at least you see again. Go here, home menu, advanced editor. The list that comes up, I replace and I click on done. Okay. So now I have for all the companies already arranged the way I want. So the way I want is, the company name is showing here, and then check. This is another interesting thing that some people have not noticed, that you have a true or false data type. So that's another nice to know. Then, this is so now I want to consolidate everything, right? So if you remember how we do that thing, well, some of us are new. So how you do that in Power BI is you go to under home, you see append queries. So, so in this case, I want to append them as a completely new, different table, right? So I say append queries as new. And the moment I click on that, a new window pops up on my screen. It's asking me, are they just two tables or more than two tables? They are more than two tables. So I don't want to do double counting. So I'm going to remove whatever is here and then now putting everything here all over myself. So I click on the first one, I hold down the shift key, and I click on the last one. So that is how I'm able to multi-select, and then I click on add, and then it moves them to the other box here. And then I click on OK, and instantly it will start doing the consolidation, the appending. Now that this is done, let me zoom my screen. This is like the result that I'm telling us that we want to achieve, right? Where you have the company, all the companies, they are all here, you know, and all this information that are on like 100 different sheets, I now have them in one file that I'm going to call company or one table that I'm going to call companies. And then, so that is almost, I'm renaming the file. Okay, so that is done. And I need to fix one more thing. So I need to fix, this is, company is ABC. Company is text. So this will be text. So I'm telling it it's text. Then I go to value. Now this should be, uh, you know, yours might show fixed decimal, might show currency. So let's pick currency in this case. So at least you get the gist of what I want to show. Okay, so I pick currency. Great. Now I'm going to be noticing some problems here. You see all the places where, see, can you see error on my screen? All the places where they were writing not available, not available, not applicable for a bank. So let me show you what I mean. Before I did that, there were some places where I had this NA for banks. After I've done that, all those NA for banks are now showing as error because it couldn't convert them to numbers, right? So what do? I want it to be replaced with zero. So what I do is I right click here. I say it should replace errors. Where is replace? Replace errors, right? Replace them with something else. In this case, zero is what it should replace them with. So replace the errors with zero. So that is working on the ground. Okay. All right. So at this juncture, I am happy with what I have. So I can now tell Excel that this is the final outcome that I want. I don't need all these other ones. So I'm going to right click and say do not load. I don't want you to load. So Power BI allows you to do the do not load. I think that option is not in here for Excel. So not a problem. We're going to live with the option that it's giving us. But if you're on Power BI, that option pops up, which can be very nice. So you don't have too much more than what you need in your Excel. So in my case, anyway, I can straight away just click close and load. Then it's going to bring in all those data into uh, the Excel. So at this juncture, you can ask questions. Let me check. Where is the names coming from? Okay, so any questions while my loading is happening on the ground? Okay.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Someone say something.
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Okay, yes. Please hold on. I think some people already typed. So let me just quickly also answer the people who have typed. So at least it doesn't look like I'm ignoring the chat. So I'll come to you, Mr. Ahmed. So Ayobami Adeleke, your question is that you are expecting that when I connected to the Google Sheet stuff, right? Authentication. Does it mean anybody can connect to the Google Sheet, or was the link generated open to all? You've answered the question. The link was generated as open to all. So for Google Sheet, the only way you can connect it to Excel or Power BI is if you do share to all. So that was why maybe some of you might have noticed that I was really careful not to click on this because if I click on this, you're going to see the link, and this is actually a live work. This is our live project, like it's something we're using for business purpose. So that's why I'm careful not to, do this step in this video. But that's the downside with Google Sheets. You have to share to anybody with the link. So that's why you can take the link and plug it in Power BI or in Excel, in PowerQuery essentially, and it pulls the data. Okay. So yes, you've answered your question yourself with that. So and the another question came in. Okay, the result has come out. Okay, so this is the answer, which is all the companies are now here. And the amazing thing about this is, as my team keep updating that one, right? If you right click here, you can do refresh, and you'll be able to pull. So it's a one-time thing. You'll be able to keep pulling any update. So I move on to another question someone has typed in before I call back on Mr. Ahmed to ask his question. So, hey, okay, who? Mr. Oladoko is asking, rather than having to copy the advanced editor, I want to ask if it's possible to have Wema Bank status updated on other companies when you merge the companies together with Wema Bank. I'm not sure I got that one. Do you mean, let me go to the blank PowerQuery side.
No, sir.
Yes.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my question is this. Rather than copying or editing the advanced editor,
Yeah.
right, to copy it into Vitaphone, UTBC, and all of that companies. Is it possible, exactly, is it possible that, once you are done with Wema Bank, you can just go ahead and do
append.
Exactly, or append. So at that point when you're appending, so instead of taking out Wema Bank, right, from your append window or something, at that point when you bring in other companies, can they inherit, the processes or the already established status of Wema Bank? You understand what I mean? Such that once at the point when those other companies are, being appended, they follow that, established status for Wema Bank, and you don't have to going into appendix, going into what's it called, and the copying and pasting, So that's the question. Thank you.
Okay. I don't think there is that option. The one that exists currently is where I can make what I've done for my bank. I can make it a reference. I can make it a foundation for other ones. So, but the unfortunate thing is that doing this means that the other ones are inheriting from Wema Bank's data, not steps per se. They are going to be like, so take for instance, maybe this is the raw data that I'm also using here. But when I'm here, I am doing some extra steps more than what I've done here. But it's the same raw data, the same information. That's when I can take that approach you are saying, and that approach too, I will have to create a reference and say this is referencing this one, and then I can, even if I do that approach and the ultimate aim is to merge, I don't think it will cut down the number of steps, just that one will not still be using advanced editor. Because if I do this reference now, it will create a reference version of the Wema Bank that I can add some things on. For anything I do in Wema Bank, we flow to this one. So if I go to Wema Bank and I had a new column, I had a new column, I'm going to just something inside. So I'm going to just type, I need to change my language. This thing is frustrating. Okay, I'm going to just type new entry. We all know that this new entry, I'm typing it in this Wema Bank one here, right? Now, anywhere I had done that reference to, which means anything that is a reference of this one, of this Wema Bank now, it's going to start showing it instantly. So it's already showing that. So that is what I think we want us to leverage. Everything I've done here should flow to somewhere else that I need. Unfortunately, it's not just the steps that flow, the data to flow. So you see that even if I rename this, it's still going to be a Wema Bank data that will be there. So it's the steps and the data that flows. But what we are needing is a case where the data is the data that is vital for. The steps are what we want to make flow. And I don't think there is yet an option to do that. Okay. So that's my own opinion on it. I have not seen any step here that does that part. So, Mr. Ahmed, yes, we can go to your question. I can see two.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Thank you very much, sir. I think I got answers to my question already. Thank you very much.
Which was your question like? Your question was similar to which one?
Just the last one you answered now.
Okay. So, Mr. Yobami Adeleke is asking, assuming new sheets were added to the Google Sheet, will they automatically come into the Excel data sheet? Interesting one. So if you think through our steps, the original step was that, let me try and replay the step. To do that now I have to close. Let me just delete this. Let me delete these two, this last custom add. Great. So I'm going to close this, close and load. So now, your question is going to be easy to answer if I demonstrate it, first of all. Remember when we were doing this, we were saying from where, right? And then I I need to go and grab that link first of all. So let me just go grab the link. We did somewhere, and then pasted the link. I did okay, and so waiting for that to pop up. So as this is coming up, I can explain what I am intending to let us know. You see, when I was manually picking the companies that I wanted to add. Great, so it's showing already now. I was manually picking. The moment you are manually picking, no way, if someone adds new companies, it's not going to automatically come if I have done this manual picking. So your questions will now be like, then is there a way to automatically pick everything? Unfortunately, let's see. Yes. But I won't use this approach anymore. So let me try it. So let's say just to get one step into the game, I pick just one, then I go to transform data. So I need to look for the equivalent of, in if you are trying to import all the files in a folder, that approach that we use, right? That's the kind of approach I'll be trying to mimic. But this time around, I'm mimicking it for a file. If it was for Excel, you will say you're looking for where the kind is equal to sheets, So let us try and look for it together. So I'm going to try to step back in the processes. So these were all the things that it was doing, right? Promoted, this was what was in promoted header step, navigation. Okay, so I think at this place, this is where I will want it to iterate through all the sheets. So for it to make me pick everything that is kind of sheet. Okay, so let me see. Most times, I struggle with PowerQuery code. Now, what I used to do is whatever I want to do, I do it and let the computer generate the code for me. Then I copy the code and I modify it. So I'm going to try and use that approach. I'm going to go to that I want to add a new source. So I want to add a new source. So I'm going to try and do this for a folder. And then the process that it goes through, I will try and follow the folder, assuming that you guys are not watching me. What I will just do is I'll just go on Google and go and search for the code because I know what I want to do. But since you are watching, let me use this approach so that you will not this will help me to save face more. So I'm going to go here. I think I have I have a folder that has those Excel files in it. I think it's called report. So I'm going to, you see that here now, right? It has an option that says combine and transform. Is the code, I need some portion of the code from that combine and transform. So I'm going to go ahead with it. So that way, the Power Query will generate the code, and then I can go and, reverse engineer, bring it into what I want to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. And so that one brings all the files in a folder and consolidates them. But in this case, I want to bring all the sheets in a file, all the sheets in an Excel file or a Google Sheets file. So I'm going to try to step through the process now. Stepping through the process is this is what it has done, sales report. But if I go step by step, that we went to the folder, then for The attribute is not hidden. I don't think I need attribute not hidden in my own case. So mine will be where the sheet, where it is a sheet type. Where so I'm going to do something like this. So I'm going to go here. I have stuff that it is there where it will just go through all of the file content. Let's see. Okay. So I'm going to here. So I'm going to insert a step around here. So I don't care too much if I make a mistake now. First of all, let me add a new query to this. So I'm going to add a new, and anyway, just right click here and say I want to insert step after. It says yes, but the step should be before, kind of, not after. The step should be before. Delete. So that's the problem sometimes I have when the thing I want to do, there is no button way to do it for Power Query anyway. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to paste that one. So I'm going to just knock off this part, say, but mine is not attributes that I'm looking for. I'm looking for, so see, where then I need, after that, what other when I copy the thing doesn't make sense, I always go back and check. Start the step. So because of time, I might not finish this year because I don't even know if I might need to do some troubleshooting as I'm typing in. But essentially what we are doing, we are supposed to do a function that iterates. I don't scratch. So most of the time I just copy code stop and then reverse engineer. So custom one. And see my reverse engineering. I'm changing the things that I need to change gradually. In the end, I'll get it. So that's what I do. Ordinarily, I would have said no, but I know it's possible because it's the very same thing when you are doing from a folder. It's the same thing too when you are doing from a file. It's just that the folder one, we are lucky that Excel already brings it in for us. For the file one, you will have to create many things from scratch yourself. So, and even from here, even combine them if I want, because it's already looking like what I need. I don't need to do too much. I'm going to just go back here, this stage, and then I'm going to remove all these. I'm going to say this should combine. expand. Okay, expand all of them. Am I sure? Yes. I think this one even so. So this is done. You ask me, this is done. Yeah, I don't even need other steps anymore then. So I'm going to close all the other steps. Delete. Delete. So with this approach, all the companies that are created on the sheets in Google Sheet, they will always show here. So all the other things that I brought in that I didn't just to get my way, I delete them all. Maybe delete this. So don't mind my crude way. As long as it gets to the answer. Delete. So now I have all the companies. See, if I expand this, you see all the companies in here. And if I had a new company there, it's going to pop up in here. So the approach is simply to I also I don't want data. I don't want data to be table. I want to know where. I don't even have to do that. Or just copy here and move anything that is. And filter out parts that are table. Because I don't want table. I want. Oh, okay. I want table. No, I don't want tables here. Yeah, this is the part I need to take it out. As long as it does not start with, does not begin with table. Because what table does, it brings in both the sheet and the table. And unfortunately, the table doesn't come with the company name. So it makes it a bit more difficult to identify. So you see, before this step of filter, I had other things, table one, table whatsoever like this. So I think I don't want this. I only just wanted the sheet name. So that's what this step I did now has achieved for me. So that's the way I normally do these things. For Power Query, I'm not very good with hem code, so I always generate the stuff. I know how to read it when I see the code I can read, but typing it from scratch, after memorizing Excel formulas and DAX, there is no more space in my head for hem code. So I normally I understand most of the code structure, or to write it from scratch, I usually use the code stuff. So let me see if any other questions. We are out of time. Oh, okay. So yeah, let me just see. What if? So Bola is saying, can I ask a question outside of today's discourse? Yes, you can. Please, yes. What's your question, sir? You can. He or she is no longer in the. All right. So, Olapo, what if the worksheets were individual CSV files? That is even better because you will just use the folder approach. Make sure the files are in the folder. Bring in the folders. You won't have to do what I'm trying to do. You will just load the folder and pick, combine, and transform. So you will not have to be reverse engineering the code structure like I'm doing here. Would there be a way to transfer steps in the Wema bank query to other queries without the copy and paste? Well, that's no. I don't know of another way to transfer it without copy and paste. I think the process of loading, the process of loading worksheets in an Excel file and loading merge files in a folder makes the difference. If the files in a folder have the same data structure, it's easier to consolidate, make them. I agree with the advanced editor process used for the companies. Okay, thank you. All right, so at this juncture, I have to start rounding up. So, are we okay with what we've done today? Any other questions before I close the session? Thank you for staying till the end, and I hope you've learned one or two new, useful skills, useful tips, useful things. So, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
For the recording, we have a YouTube channel. Let me just post for you the YouTube channel link. So you will always get the recording there. I don't know if I'll be able to push everything out today, but I will try to push it out today. In a worst case scenario, you get the recording tomorrow. But the only way you will get the recording is when you go to this, when you paste it. So it's not like I'm going to have to email us. It's going to be something you will get, or you will see already showing in the. We have a channel for these sessions. That's
okay. Thank you. Bye.
All right. The recording will be here. So this is where you will find the recording. I've posted the YouTube playlist. It might not show yet today, but definitely by tomorrow it should be there. And previous sessions too are already there. So that's where I put all those sessions. So thank you very, very much. Thanks for your patience and thanks for staying to the end.